right, the current governor of the state, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, belongs to the PDP, but the All Progressive Congress has promised, with the help of Gbemisola Saraki, to take over the state in gubernatorial polls happening this Saturday. We're talking about Kwara State, obviously. Joining me to discuss this, we have Barrister Obi Ajegbo. Thank you very much for joining us. And still in the studio, we still have Mr. Ambrose Iboke.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
I'm intimidated. I'm just only me.
You're blessed among women.
That's the cool thing. So, Obi, we just gave you an insight of what's happening in Kwara. So there is a tussle. And guess what? In the middle of this tussle are two siblings. So there's an open sibling rivalry of sorts, which is also affecting the politics of that state. What do you think is going to happen come Saturday?
Well, the Kwarans have brought up another form of politics, which is otoge. Otoge, which means it is enough.
Ah, I see.
And that is what they say made them have the landslide victory they claimed they had over during the presidential election and whatnot. But Kwara is going to be very, very interesting. To be an interesting read because the sibling rivalry between Bukola and Gbemi was born out of politics. It was born out of politics. And now Gbemi is now in a better position because Bukola fell out with the powers that be and crossed over to PDP and became a thorn in the flesh of the APC-led government. So it's now payback time.
But even if they still get it, the Saraki dynasty is not going to die. Even if Saraki doesn't bounce back, if the sister helps the APC to win, they still have a stake in what is going on in Kwara State.
There is one thing, when we were discussing it on one of my forums, I told them, you're just swapping one sibling for the other. They were like, no. Let us get him out. And I would want to see what Gbemi will get out of it. Because this is not the first time this APC government has used people and promised them something, and after everything they turn around and tell them no.
But in this case, the Senate president is you know, the fact that he and the House of Rep Speaker moved at the same time, it was like a whirlwind move. Of course, the APC would want to, do you not think they would want to make a statement of sorts using Gbemi because it's closer to home? It would be more painful because, I mean, I know that you're making a case and saying, oh, well, this is not the first time, but maybe this time they really want to make a statement. What do you think, Mr. Iboke?
Well, the Kwara politics, the problem within Gbemi and Bukola started when the father, the late Olusola Saraki, wanted Gbemi to succeed Bukola as governor of Kwara State. Yeah. That is when the rivalry started, and Bukola in 2007. And Bukola said no. Because remember that the first governor from the 1999, Lawal, was Olusola Saraki that put him there, Chief Olusola Saraki, Oloye, as they call him in Kwara politics, the strong man of Kwara politics. He has been there he was there for so many years.
So he's some sort of a kingmaker.
So when he got tired of putting other people, he was also instrumental to Shaba Lafiaji becoming governor in the truncated 1991 to 93 era. And then we now put Lawal, and they felt that, look, these people is okay, let me put my own son, Bukola, and they put Bukola. And when Bukola was finishing his 8th-year tenure, he then wanted to put his daughter, Gbemi, to succeed Bukola. And he would have succeeded if not that Bukola said no. And then father and son entered the political battle of their lives. And the father lost. And I heard that that was part of the thing that even broke the old man's heart, and that he didn't die a happy man.
But so, it's not a monarchy of sorts. Yes, of course, we know that the issue of godfatherism in Nigerian politics.
So shouldn't Kwaras be thanking Bukola for that?
That's so you just took my question because I was about to say.
And say, do you think that Saraki can come out on the other side of this onslaught? Because some describe it as a battle for his dynasty, so to speak, in Kwara State. Let me come to you, Obi.
Saraki is what I call a cat with 9 lives. I feel that despite whether he wins Kwara governorship or not, he'll still come out smelling nice.
How?
That's an interesting way to put it. But
how-
how do you see this playing out? Because if the APC is banking on the fact that we got victory in Kwara State, meaning that this might also translate. Because I have a newspaper headline of Bemi saying that they will deliver Kwara to the APC come Saturday. In fact, they're saying that she gave reasons for wanting to do that he believes in the Buhari administration and that, you know, that they will keep their promise.
Now, let us see. What happened on February 23rd could be just to make sure that that Saraki does not get back to the Senate. Now, this is another level of it. If they remove him, then we know it's a total onslaught on his own rule in Kwara. But I find it very difficult for Bemi to walk into fit Bukola's shoes.
Okay, let's take this to another aspect. I have this report here that says hundreds of members of the ruling PDP yesterday defected to the APC. The defection was led by a former lawmaker, that's Bamidele Aluko, and they're saying that this is the second exodus from the PDP to the APC in Kwara State. Will this have any bearing come Saturday?
These guys are rent seekers. They should just go and sit down.
But will it play any role on Saturday?
See, the same Kwara people, when Olushola Saraki wanted to make Bemi governor, they sided with Bukola Saraki because they said Bemi was a woman. How can a woman be
so it wasn't a value thing. It wasn't
the same woman that they're using her.
Two people, you know, succeed themselves back to back. It was more about
It's a statement they're telling the Saraki people, we're not against you people in totality. We are against Bukola. Let us clip Bukola's wings.
But Bukola is not even the governor. That's the funny thing. So whether by proxy, as she has said, whether by proxy or by de facto sitting there, somebody has a godfather. So you are just replacing one godfather with another. Who are you going to replace the godfather with? Who are the political game players now? Who has the stature of a Saraki in Kwara State? I'm not seeing anybody.
Maybe it's time to build a new dynasty.
Who is building? Saraki inherited a dynasty. They didn't build any.
I'm just saying, maybe they're trying to build a new. Maybe they're bringing new.
So we don't have those people that have that clout.
Saraki will not evaporate from
what possible outcome do you see from the Kwara gubernatorial election? If you're saying Saraki has 9 lives, but aren't there going to be any sort of implication if power changes? Let's say, for instance, another party other than the APC wins and PDP wins the governorship election in Kwara State. Is that scenario even possible? Let me come to you.
No, it's not possible. It's either APC or PDP. I mean, it's not Ogun or Imo. Those guys, their own is unique.
So there is no strong person
there's no
other than the APC
or PDP.
In your opinion, the Kwara people might surprise you.
The issue is that
where is the party?
The unity
The
of purpose for which she said that exhibited in 23rd of February is not going to be there this time around.
Because
people are going back to their trenches now. And it's okay, we have voted Buhari, we have done our path. Otoge, we have voted out Saraki. Now, they will now start looking at the pecuniary nature. Somebody who is the governor now, Abdul Fattah, is from a particular section of Kwara State. Yeah. You say, it's their turn. You were from this part of Kwara State, or Kwara South, or Kwara North, or this. You have done your 8 years. Where was Lawal from? So when it comes to state level, the dynamics of politics changes. It changes in all states. That is how it's okay. It is a turn of so part of the state to produce governor. It is a part of this state to produce.
So what is it going to be? A thin line, just as we saw for the Buhari Atiku situation, or is it going to be a clear-cut victory for one or the other?
It's going to be a narrow. It's going to be a tough fight.
Okay.
Because PDP has lost a lot of seats in the Senate and the House on February 23rd, they have to hold on to as many states as possible as for governors. So every PDP governor will be ready to make sure they retain their seats. So APC is not going to find it, it's not going to be a walkover on Saturday for Kwara. It's not going to be a walkover.
All right, I wanted to ask, in all this conversation we've been having, it's about personal or family interest or maybe party scrambles. Where is the place of the people's interest? Are these parties or candidates or persons going to actually take the interest of Kwara State more importantly, or is just about it's my turn, it's not my turn? Where is the interest of the people in all of this conversation?
Well, Nigerian politicians know that the average Nigerian is not politically savvy. It's not, it does not have political intelligence.
Lots of people would disagree with you.
Many politicians know. We don't need people to disagree with me. I'm talking about the politicians. And that is why they have the temerity to come back every 4 years and tell us the same thing.
So what do we...
And so, they will continue doing what they are doing, and we, the people, continue doing what we are doing.
But we
They'll
don't
continue using the people.
But we know, let's just say for the few of us who are seated on this table, we understand the, you know, the intrigues or the
we are not in the majority. We are not the people
I'm just
that
saying,
constitute the voting populace.
How do we, the people who know, have an idea of all of these politics, how do we try to engage the other people who do not know, who are not aware, so that they can also be aware? Of course, before the last elections, people thought that Nigerians have come to a point where they were aware and they'd make the right choice, but we didn't see many people come out. So what's going to be the difference between that and, of course, Saturday?
One of the grouses I have against the INEC that conducted the 2019 election was its poor voter education. It's either by design of commission or error of omission that INEC purposely refused to educate people sufficiently about this election. National Orientation Agency did nothing. The Ministry of Information was comatose. Therefore, our people were not even educated on what needs to be done about election.
Your opinion, because most of the analysts that we've spoken with here have said, as much as yes, there are still places to be improved, there's still areas where INEC needs to sit up. In the aspect of enlightenment, public campaign, that they were out there, and some have even said that this is one of the few times that INEC had made, see whether true or false, made some effort to communicate consistently with stakeholders.
Are you talking about the consistency of the last, when the election was postponed? We're not talking about that. Yeah. It's a process. From the time, from the last, I expected for the past 14 months to this election to be consistent voter education. We didn't see that. We didn't see mass. In fact, we have lost touch with with what we call civic education. We have lost touch, and that cascaded down even to the INEC issue. It was few days to the election that INEC chairman was demonstrating to people how to fold the election ballot papers. It was a few days to the election we started hearing about don't use your tongue will cross the line, use your index finger, and we're seeing that on social media. Do you know how many millions of Nigerians are not on social media? Or we think we sit pretty here thinking that everybody's connected to the internet? The majority of people who casting this vote don't have smartphones.
But there are people who would also make, and I'm not even holding brief for INEC, not in any way, but there are people who also say, look, we've had a number of Nigerians who've gone into this election, they voted over and over again. The people that need more voter education are people who have never voted before, or maybe for the few things, new things that have been introduced into the voting system. But besides that, people should know by default, because this has been ongoing for several years.
It's not.
If you've been around for at least four decades.
It's not voter education that's making them. It is apathy. A lot of people their hearts were broken at the results of the presidential election. A lot of people. So there's apathy. I, for one, am not going to vote on Saturday.
Why?
Because I want...
Does that not mean that you're giving up on everything? Because you cannot fight if you've already thrown in your sword or your towel.
It's not fighting. I've discussed it severally. It's not fighting. It is my own way of protesting. Let our votes. So let our votes count.
But if you don't vote, how will your votes count?
How is it supposed to count if you are...
So you are boycotting the election?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I think it's a personal decision, but we would actually encourage you to reconsider, because if you say you're not going to vote, how do we change the narrative? How do you actually register your
Where do you even get
protest?
the right to speak?
I went out variously to urge people to come out and vote on that day. And then for the miracle that happened on the 23rd to happen, it really broke my heart.
But you see, when you say voter apathy, I'm saying if you look at INEC's figures, the number of people who registered as opposed to the number of people who came for accreditation and voting, there's a big gap. There's a disparity of sorts.
People that registered...
And that happened even before we cast the vote on the 23rd.
The people that registered just registered because they needed an ID card.
So again, it goes back to what he's saying, that there is not enough voter education, because most people are getting the cards as a means of identification, which is not, that's not expressly what it's made for.
Most of the people that I was telling them to come and vote, they said, Madam, Mommy, forget it. They don't know who, I'm sorry, their votes will not count.
No, that is what we say about voter education. You see, I grew up as a child in this country with memories of relentless civic messages on newspapers, on radio, on the television. I remember the War Against Indiscipline. As a child, I can still sing the song even till now. How old was I? I remember the D-Free.
We don't know.
The Mamsa. You guys are Indomie children. So...
No, really. I'm a bit aware of what you're saying.
Why is War Against Indiscipline in those days? And then you talk of D-Free. Have you heard of D-Free? You have the Mamsa. You have of all
No, we
those
weren't
things.
saying we don't know about why.
All those is,
you said
the songs,
you don't know how old you were, so we said we don't know either. But
the issue is that
know about it.
National Registration Agency, when did you hear about it last?
Well,
we had
a couple of them on the show.
They are the people that are supposed to even be on the vanguard of the civic education. We don't have that again. A government scrapped history in this country from teaching history as a curriculum in school. Are we a serious nation at all? Therefore, how do you let people know about what they're supposed to do? And the INEC came and couldn't even tell people the proper thing, even how to vote. We're getting some of these things on social media. You think do you know how many voided votes?
Also, INEC has also made a case of finance, of monies being released on time, because you see the truth is, whether we believe it or not, they need money, mobilization to go around, even to the urban rural areas to do these voter education or town hall meetings or awareness programs. They do need the finances, and if they don't, they can easily just rest on their oars and say, well, we weren't given money, so this is what you get.
I hate that. I hate that when people say that. If you knew that you received money November or December and the election is February, and you call the commissioners and say, can we do this? Do we have more? How much time do we need for the materials to be delivered? How much time do we need to put logistics? What about security? And you know that it is not feasible. At that point in time they release the money, you should have called everybody's attention and said the elections cannot hold February. And so from the onset, we know that we're not having elections February, we're moving it to March or April or whenever. But for you now, after telling everybody, what even pained me was every time he comes on TV, he'll say, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. Like a ringtone, we are ready, we are ready. And then only for you to cancel it.
Oh, quite unfortunate.
The INEC received money on time, please. Let's clear that, because they received money they asked for. They received money. The only money that was removed was the money.
When do you consider on time? For example, we were talking about, you said something about, oh, you need at least 14 months to start preparation and education and everything that you need to do. Did they get that money?
Well, do you know, first of all, let's even get
education should be continuous.
Yes, INEC is even a statutory body.
But then you need finances. Oh my God, it sounds like I'm speaking for INEC. Okay.
You know, INEC is a statutory body that has budgets. Payment of his staff and the resident come
every year.
So it's a statutory body that has budgets for the year. Therefore, the election cycle, they will need a certain budget to finance the election. So it's not that they don't have their statutory budget, which day-to-day running of INEC is there. And then there's budget for those things there.
Let me quickly, still on this politics, so we've been talking about. I want to ask this question. There are allegations, strong allegations these days that politicians, when it comes close to the election, they begin to play the ethnic card. Do you think this is the case in some states of this country? If that is the case, what should citizens do so that they don't fall prey to this politics of politicians in days to the election?
This just happened in Lagos State. And I'm in a forum, and these are people that I've known for 30 years. And they were now telling me, I was born in Lagos, lived all my life in Lagos, haven't even been to my village in over 10 years. And you are now telling me that you're a stranger. You don't have any stake. And fear enveloped me. I remembered Port Harcourt abandoned property. And I started thinking, oh, here am I investing in Lagos, feeling my investment is secure. And I started looking for a plan B. And that also occurred to a lot of my friends that are not Yorubas. We are all on plan B now. Because if somebody that you're comfortable with, you've been very close to, and all of a sudden they are now bringing up, telling you because of election, you have a right to decide who to vote for. And nobody has a right to disturb you. And that man that came to disturb them in Okota, I'll be praying to God that please, let us hear that he has been arraigned.
Well, because part of the responsibility of this panel is to ensure that citizens that are watching get a little bit of guidance, no matter how small, so they can make better decisions. So that's why I'm asking the question. Yes, there are these accusations, which is pathetic in itself. But how should citizens be wise to this politics so that they can, in spite of it, still make decisions that are good for them and good for the states?
Well, first of all, I said something earlier, that politicians always use the people because the people have refused to grow. We have been having elections in this country for so many years. And in the last 20 years, 19 years, we have had 6 elections since 1999. This is the 6th election cycle we have been having. And yet these people do the same thing. When it is a cosmopolitan area like Lagos, like that, they will tell you you're Yoruba, you're Hausa, you're Igbo, or whatever you come, wherever you come from. When it is intrastate, then now let's say for Ogun, they'll tell you are Ijebu, you are Nawori, you are this, you are that, you are an Egbama, this and that. When it comes to inside Oyo, for example, we start hearing things also. So what are we saying? What we are saying is that the politicians will always divide you, even when it comes to your hamlets and your village.
But is it not,
tell you this,
but is that not as a result of the fact that we ourselves are divided, and then they have seen through us, and they take advantage of those cracks?
We are not divided. The masses are not divided. The masses love each other. But the problem is that they are gullible. And because of that gullibility, the people feast on it. Now, what has happened is this. I was in another forum, I was saying this. The 2 contenders are from the north. The 2 main contenders are from the north. Atiku Abubakar and Muhammadu Buhari. The 2 director generals of the campaign groups are from the south. There was no one act of violence recorded in the north during the election.
Except the south.
But in the south, there were various issues. So there is something wrong with the average southern Nigerian on how he plays his politics.
So how
what is happening
in going forward?
What we are now saying, because we have to lay the background. And we haven't laid the background. Now, there is a problem because this week alone, last week, we saw a desperate clique of politicians trying to put fear in the minds of people.
Yes.
How will we put fears in the mind of people and you want them to come out for election? So one of the panacea for this is to tell politicians to mind their languages, mind their utterances. They don't own Nigeria. Nigeria belongs to all of us. And because with them, some people have, you know, left power for them to handle or to rule, or does not mean that they are immune to whatever will come that will consume anybody. Because you cannot be telling people, I hear somebody telling somebody that you will remove a party chairman if you don't deliver your, if you will remove as a monarch if you don't do this. You do, and they're calling people from one sectional place to talk. So my one is that the military, the security agencies, and everybody should ensure that we really keep peace.
All right, Mr. Obi, quickly, we have just a few seconds to go. Your last statement. What do we go from here? What should people who are watching? Yes, you have resigned somewhat to fate, but the average person who's watching, who needs to cast their vote, what should they take home?
No, you have to go out
from
and
this?
vote. We are removing that.
Don't worry, after the show we'll try and do our background work.
What they should do, they should go and cast their votes and secure their votes. Secure their votes means wait until the votes have been counted, and if possible, follow it to the collation center so that no miracle happens from the polling unit, between the polling unit and the collation center.
Okay. We've been speaking with Obi Ajegbo. She's a legal practitioner. And of course, we have been speaking with Mr. Ambrose Ibuke. He is a public affairs analyst. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for speaking with us. All right. Felicity?
I guess that's where we're going to pause for now. Nigeria Decide continues. Don't go away. We'll be right back.